what we're going to do is we're going to hear a little taster of each of the 5 musicians first, and then we're going to have a much longer time where you get to really get to know them and hear their repertoire. So, like somebody has already told us, tonight we're holding this event on LaG Omer. I'm Fiona Frank from SCOJEC, the Scottish Council of Jewish Communities, and we're hosting this concert for Scotland and for the world, it seems. And we're hosting it, as has already been said, on LaG Omer, which is the only day during this period of the Jewish year, this short period of the Jewish year when we can hold a concert. It celebrates a break. This day celebrates a break in a plague that's said to have occurred during the days of Rabbi Akiva. And legend said, and also, there's a great teacher of Jewish mysticism, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, died on this day. And legend says that no rainbows were seen during Rabbi Bar Yochai's lifetime. His understanding of the Torah was so great that he was considered a living sign of God's covenant, rendering the rainbow superfluous. And I just thought, in Hebrew, the word for rainbow and the bow is the same, and so keshet. So archery is practiced at LaG Omer, but obviously that's illegal. That's not allowed in the UK at the moment. So instead of doing archery, we've taken the rainbow symbol and we're having a rainbow concert for LaG Omer. And I'm so pleased and proud and excited to welcome 97 households around the world into this room. I think there's another 15 or so that have booked. They might be watching us on YouTube. I think there's about 180 of you in the actual room. If we go back onto gallery view for a minute, cancel the spotlight video. If everybody presses gallery view, if you can, and just flash through, see all the people that are here watching. It's absolutely fabulous. As I've said, we've got a great range of people playing for us, of musicians playing for us tonight, and we're going to start in America with Adrianne Greenbaum, who is, while Jean finds Adrienne and unmutes her and spotlights her video, I'm going to talk about her. Adrienne came to Britain to do a concert tour around Scotland in 2014 with Lev and Michael, and I got to know her then. It was the most fantastic time. She's professor of flute and pioneer of the klezmer flute tradition. She's a nationally acclaimed flutist and clinician. She performs on historical instruments of the 18th and 19th century. It was very interesting traveling on a train around Scotland with Adrienne because there were a lot of flutes involved, and that was quite a complicated production, trying to make sure that all the flutes got on the train and off the train. And as well as a classical career, she leads a flute, bass, klezmer ensemble.
Well, I am starting this program off with a lot of dancing. And if you would imagine that you're actually at a fair, which is not uncommon at all for klezmorim to have played. The band from which some of this music that I'm playing today was found in their folio is not even Jewish, it's Scottish. And as a matter of fact, they didn't know really a good way of describing it, so they tried to say Caledonia on the top. But for a while, linguists and myself, we all thought, oh, what is that, a flower? A caldone? A food, calzone? We didn't know, but after playing the pieces, we knew it was Caledonia. And I've identified, certainly the last one is possibly familiar to many of you. It is composed by Marshall and the poetry by Burns, and it was a poem to his wife for their wedding, and it was of all the airs the wind does blow. And the first one has many possibilities. I'll let you turn in your submissions of what tune you think that's from. And then we sort of we're still at this fair, and David McGuinness at Uni Glasgow sent this to me, this tune, which is really a Hungarian Csárdas or whatever, but it was labeled as La Gertrude, and it's really a quadrille, and composed by Nathaniel Go. And then I'm going to end with another Hungarian tune that was found by the ensemble Muzikás. But I'm going to start with a Frelix, and so feel free to get up from your chairs, and off we go. Schönen Dank.
Wow. I'm going to quickly unmute you all just to do a very very haphazard public here.
Hey! Thank you so much.
Allemaal.
Beautiful.
Hartfeld Dank.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much.
Dancing Fiona.
Right, I'm going to mute. I'm going to mute everybody again now because there's radios and tellies on in the background there. Fabulous. Oh, I haven't danced with anybody except my cat for the last 6 weeks. It made me cry to be able to dance. That was totally wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Adrienne. And we're going to hear more from her in the future. We're going to hear more from her afterwards. So, if I can get my breath back, the next performer in the first half is Michael Alpert. And what I like about a performer is when you can read their Wikipedia entry, because it's so good to have performers with their very own Wikipedia entries. I really like that in a performer. He's what we wrote. He's an award-winning klezmer musician and an international Yiddish song resource person. And what Wikipedia writes is that he's a klezmer and Yiddish singer, multi-instrumentalist, scholar and educator, and a key figure in the klezmer revival of the 70s and 80s. And lots of bands that he's been in. A pioneering teacher and researcher of Yiddish traditional dance. He was just teaching me dancing earlier on when we were doing the sound check with Adrienne. And has been central to restoring Yiddish dance to its time-honoured place in tandem with klezmer music. A recipient of the 2015 National Heritage Fellowship awarded by the National Endowment for the Arts, continues to perform and teach worldwide, and we're so lucky because he lives in Fife and he's been working really closely with Skojek over the last year to help our klezmer and Yiddish song content be authentic and of a high standard. And so thank you so much, David. Michael, and you should really be unmuted. You are unmuted, that's great. Over to you.
Who are you talking about, Fiona?
Just some time.
Guten Abend, Alleman. Good evening, everybody. Or it may not be evening. Good morning to some of you who are on the, I think, on the Pacific coast of the U.S., for example. Maybe Canada, too. And a vrijelijke LaG Bemir. Happy, joyous LaG Bemir to everyone. I'm going to start with, let's see, a song I wrote myself in Yiddish. It's a song that says it's about celebration together, but also celebration in hard times as well as in good times. And I will. It says, "Gather together and let's rejoice and celebrate the fact that what the song says is that we're Jews, but of course it's not only about Jews. It's let's celebrate the fact that we're here, and particularly at this point in time." So, Kleibt sich zunächst meine Schwestern und Brüderlach, and there's a chorus that everyone can sing along with, as you can hear, or you will hear. Kleibt sich zunächst meine Schwestern und Brüderlach, ay tarararam, tarararam, bam bam. Omer sich freien, dass wir sein in Idala. Ay, da 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 da. Genug schön zu weinen mit Herzen verwundete. Ay, tarararam, tarararam, tarararam. Und wir seien alle wie Gräfin verbundete. Ay, da 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 da. Freund ist teier sich, ay tarararai, tararararan, dam dam. Wieder sie singen sich, tuppen sich mit die Fisch, ay tarararai, tarararai. Wat ik ben gekomen zien, ik vind wat wil. Ai, tarara, badam, bam, bam. Ihr seid mir alle viel teurer noch von Geld. Ai, dam, tadam. Tadadadai, tadadadai, ai, tadadadai, 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 tadadadai. Na Welt von der Wege zum Blutigkeit, ai tararariam tararariam, es bringt mich zu Walgern von Emis, es schielen weit, ai tararariam. In dieser Welt, als auch Menschen verblonschen sich, ai Amol wenn ich sehe, dies war nicht kapir sich. Als sie sein klar und ist nur in sich gewählt. Ai als wieder sie singen sich, truppen sich mit die Band. Ai so singt nur das Lied zu Frandalach Teirinke. Und wer schön pamutig in die Herzen Eirinke. Good. I hope that was a good dose of Romanian Jewish California there.
Can you hear us, Michael? Can you hear us clapping?
Only if
Oh! Hear us, Michael!
With vast trading network of devices with Neil Oliver on BBC Four in an hour.
Just muted everybody, so we have to unmute. Oh no, Michael's unmuted. That's good. And symbol.
He's muted now. I'll make sure we're muted.
What's going on there?
Okay.
it sounds a bit like
Back to Michael.
That was it, by the way.
Oh, that was it. Okay.
The beginning, yeah.
Thank you very much. You forgot to tell me. So now it's over to me again. So we cancel Michael, we come back to me. And the next performer is Gica Loening, who is the most fabulous representative of Scottish and klezmer fiddle that we have in Edinburgh and Scotland. She's founded dance and klezmer bands in Edinburgh, which I've been overjoyed to call with and dance with and play with her. She's the director of Fun Fiddle courses for adults and children in Edinburgh. She's a freelance community music practitioner and lead officer for the Youth Music Initiative for East Lothian. And I'm hoping that by the time we've done that, Gica will be unmuted and spotlighted. So let's unmute her and spotlight her. There you go. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Gica.
Hi, everybody, and happy LaG Omer. And fantastic to see so many great faces, and not least my own neighbours who are downstairs and upstairs and next door. So it's lovely. And then, of course, Michael just across the sea. If I could get in a little boat and swim over there, or row rather, we'd meet up and play at a social distance, of course. Anyway, so delighted to be part of this. And, you know, I was thinking, what am I going to play here on my own? And I've hit on something. Just this whole process of being in lockdown has caused, I suppose, a lot of us, and me included, to just reflect on kind of where I'm at, what my musical journey has been, and I was thinking about the klezmer greats that have so totally, I mean, of the recent wave from kind of 70s onwards, who have completely influenced me and taught me everything I know. And I'll come clean, I just basically copied what they do, which is, I guess, how each generation learns. But when I was playing klezmer, starting to play klezmer in the very early years, one of the first, I'm going to just show you here, this CD, that one, Marriage of Heaven and Earth. So I think that was the first CD I heard, and I was so completely blown away, absolutely blown away, and thought, I have to start learning this. And that was back in about 2000. So the very first track on that is Alicia Tzvigalis. So the other thing that really struck me about my klezmer heroes is just how many, in fact, nearly all of them, are women, and they're older women. And that's what I particularly love, is that in this tradition, there's massive respect for the elders and for older women playing, of which I'm starting to count myself as. And so I learned such a lot from Alicia Tzvigalis, and I'm just going to play note for note kind of her first track. So I'm unashamedly doing a cover. This is a cover version of Alicia's lovely Gassen Nigun, which is one of the really popular tunes in the klezmer tradition. But nevertheless, her fiddle playing just blew me away with that. Then I'm going to go on to play another total cover from another of my great klezmer heroines, Cookie Segelstein, and it's straight off her Voretsky Pass CD. So when I was in Scotland playing years and years ago, those CDs were the things that they were my resources to hear, because I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know how to hear or learn this stuff. So I just learned it off the CDs. And I used to feel embarrassed that I had kind of copied what they were playing. But right now I'm just thinking, I'm going to celebrate them. Okay, so here we go. that's just a little warm up, and it's going to be for me a kind of homage night to the great klezmer female greats.
That's wonderful.
Basically, there weren't any before because women couldn't play. So I guess they were kind of the first generation of women that were allowed to play. So I'll see you all a bit later on.
That's completely wonderful. Thank you so much, Gica. So let's, anybody want to unmute, or you can just wave your hands around, go onto gallery view and look at the applause from everybody. Thank you so much, Gica.
Wow.
That's wonderful. So our next performer is Phi Alexander. Hi, so Phi Alexander. Some of you will have seen him playing, leading Moishe's Bagel, an amazing jazz klezmer fusion band around Scotland, and performs with every band you could possibly imagine. I've seen him on a fantastic cut for the Scottish Traditional Folk Festival recently. There was a most beautiful little, beautifully put together, socially distanced music video that Phil was part of. He's, as well as being a fantastic musician, part of loads of different bands. He is also, there I can spotlight you. He's also an academic, and he is the British Academy Research Fellow at the University of Glasgow, looking at historical Jewish-Scottish musical encounters. So over to you, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. This is amazing and weird to be part of this. This is the first one of these online things that I've done. It's actually far more nerve-wracking than standing on stage, I think, sitting in your kitchen. Although I do, in lockdown time at the moment, I spend kind of large parts of every evening in my kitchen with my accordion, so it feels like home as well. I wondered, Gica, could you just mute yourself because you're still making noise? Oh, thank you. I'm going to play 3 tunes, 3 great klezmer tunes. The first is Moldavian Hora that I learnt in Yiddish Summer Weimar, and then the second is a Serba from the Kostakowski collection, and then I'm going to finish off with a very lively tune known as Bugici's Serba. Hope you enjoy.
Excellent and wonderful. And we will have more of Adrienne, Michael, Gica, and Phil in the second half, or the second 3/4, it'll be really. Thank you so much. So the last performer from tonight is Lev Atlas, who is absolutely no stranger to the Scottish Jewish community. He generously performs for us, or for the Scottish Jewish community, at all sorts of communal events, most notably the annual Holocaust Memorial Night that takes place every year in the south side of Glasgow. But also, we had the privilege and pleasure and excitement of touring with Lev for a week around Scotland I'm still trying to find him so I can unmute him while talking, but I expect that, oh, I see, you're Julia, that's what's confusing me. Right, unmute Julia, and, right, I can't unmute you, you'll have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Was it December 2014?
We have it, and we're spotlighted. Right. So, Lev, we had such great pleasure in touring with Adrian and Michael and Lev in 2014 all around Scotland, where he was playing fiddle along with Michael and Adrian's flute and another fantastic keyboard player for a brilliant tour of Scotland. So that's when I first found he was a klezmer musician, as well as all the other guises that I'd met him in. He is the principal viola at the Scottish Opera Orchestra, where I saw him last year in a fantastic production, and a virtuoso, and he's senior lecturer in strings at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. He's Dr. Lev Atlas, and he is a virtuoso klezmer and Eastern European music performer, and he's going to tell us about a slightly different type of music that he's going to be playing tonight.
Right. Am I unmuted, Fiona?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much to Scott, Jack, and Fiona for organizing this event and giving me an opportunity to play in such a wonderful company of musicians, and also in front of equally wonderful audience. Many years ago, at our home city, Rostov-on-Don in Russia, I was invited to join a band of Armenian musicians who were looking for a violinist to play at Armenian weddings in Rostov. And in many villages of Armenian settlement around the Rostov region. From then on, for many years, each time I walked with my violin into a wedding tent, I became the only Jewish boy in the village. The village weddings are meticulously planned, and musicians must be acutely attuned to the coming changes in proceedings. And very soon, the time comes when a few hundred of people are seated at the very long tables, eating and drinking. And that's when most important part of my job would start. I would have to entertain them and play the music, which would be in equal measures wild, heart-wrenching, emotional, and deeply moving. Jewish music. And now I will start with this piece, which I almost always started this part of the wedding, and it's a cry of Israel.
Fabulous, thank you so much. Is that your first, is that your first step?
The rest is later.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm going to say it out loud now. Please now put on the original settings. We'll have it on original settings. Listen to have original sound on. That's great. Cool, everybody. So thank you so much. We have now heard from our 5 musicians, and we've got a slightly different order for the second half. And for the second 3 quarters, we're going to hear a longer burst of music from our 5 musicians, and we've got it in a slightly different order. So we're going to be starting with Gica, who is in the middle of drinking, I see. But I'm sure she'll have finished by the time I finish introducing her. So we're going to have Gica to start off the in-depth get to know our musician section, and then we're going to have a little beer break, and then we're going to come back for the last 4 musicians. And it's fabulous having you all here. Thank you so much, everybody, for your attention and being here. And we've got 114 people here. That means 114 computers, which is at least 200 people. It's so fantastic to have you here. Thank you so much. Over to Gica.
So hello again, everybody. And that was it was lovely having a little burst of hearing everybody playing, and it just feels like everybody's right here in the same room, almost. Well, I'm going to carry on with my kind of a mix of cover themes of the great klezmer women great. So I'm going to play. Oh, hang on. I decided what I'm doing. No. I'm going to start with a nice, gentle little waltz. And anyone that wants to do a bit of waltzing in your own living room, this is your chance to get up. So, so the two waltzes I'm going to start off with is the Alexandrovsky, which is Russian, and then the Hasidic Waltz. Both of these tunes I found at some point from Simon Carlyle, a great klezmer tuba player in Edinburgh who's been responsible for bringing together a lot of people to play together and finding lots of great repertoire. And I think these two came my way at some point. So I'm going to play them first, and then I'm going to go on into my own composition, which is the Lockdown Waltz. So this was actually, I've got the music here because I might forget it. This was written for Dave, my husband, for his birthday a couple of weeks ago when I wasn't sure what else to get him. So I decided it was time that I'd never actually written him a tune, that I would do that. So it's pretty cheesy. The Lockdown Waltz is going to finish up. So Alexandrovsky, Hasidic Waltz, and Lockdown Waltz. Get your dancing shoes on. Oh, I'm just sorry, a minute. Can you hear me? I didn't have this on. Sorry. I'm just going to put my mic on.
Yeah, good idea.
Sorry, I forgot that.
We can hear you better now, but we could hear you fine then.
Was that all right? Okay. I wasn't speaking in vain then. Okay. Good. This is it's a little bit of an outing for me of I'm not a great writer of tunes, but I wrote just that one, and I actually it's a weird tune called Hora's Reach. So a couple of years ago, somebody asked me if I could write a tune for his wife, and he wanted it to be like a Scottish reel, but he wanted it to be Jewish. He wanted it to have a kind of klezmery Jewish feel, but he wanted it to be in the kind of meter of a Scottish reel. So I called Dora's reel as well, and that was her grandmother, who was Jewish, yeah. And so I came up with this tune. It's, see what you think. It's kind of a mixture of it's a kind of nod in the direction of something to do with a kind of Jewish feel. I'm not quite sure it came off. And then the second half of it, you'll hear, is a little bit more like a kind of Scottish reel. So it's a kind of a mixture. Then I am going to go back onto my cover version of Cookie Sagelstein's Makonovetsky's Skotchna, which is again off her Voretsky Pass CD. And Cookie was just one of my great tutors really, really early on when I went to Klez Camp back in sort of 2002. And I was just completely blown away by all these great players. And so, and I love her kind of gutsy type playing. Right, so Dora's Reel and Makonovetsky's Skotchna. Okay. Good. Well, thank you to Cookie. And if anybody wants to hear the proper, real thing with great band, you know, you get much more of the sense, obviously, when there's harmony behind the fiddle. So it's a little strange playing here on my own. And I was kind of wishing that I had the same thing that Adrianne's got there with her lovely recording backing. That really helps to sort of get you in the groove. But I'm trying to imagine it myself, and you'll have to do the same. Okay, I think I'll play one more. Yeah. Okay. So so this one. Okay. This is another total cover number from another of my absolutely massive influences, and that is the fantastic Deborah Strauss, who's just playing is totally superlative, and it just influenced me so massively. So I can't ever properly do it justice. So for those of you that know the CD, her CD Rejoicing, and her husband's Jeff Warshauer, please forgive me now. This one, do you know, I should have checked the name, but I kind of played it a little bit over the years and just called it Deborah's Bulgar, but I know it's got a proper name. Michael will be able to tell me later on. You can fill us in. And it starts with the most beautiful Vorspiel, which is foreplay for those of you that don't know Yiddish. And it really is foreplay on the fiddle. And so I think a golden rule is never to steal somebody else's Vorspiel, but I'm not really stealing it. I'm just playing hers. Thank you very much, and thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Cookie. And see you again later.
Yes.
Or actually, no, I'm going to hand over to all the others. I hope you enjoy the evening and have a fantastic time. There's lots of treats ahead with everybody else coming up very soon. Thank you.
Don't go away because I'm going to get you to take a bow at the end, Gica.
I'll be here. I'll be here.
Okay, I'm going to, right, we're going to have a 5-minute beer convenience break, 38, 39, 41, 42, 43. So back at 20:45 for our next performance, which is Phil. Thank you, everybody. It's just fabulous. So the next person to play for us in our weird, wonderful lockdown LaG Omer concert. I can't unmute you, Phil. You have to unmute yourself. But I can spotlight you. The next person to play for us in our weird, wonderful lockdown LaG Omer Klezmer Kabaret.
Thank you. Hope you've all had a nice break. I've got myself a little whiskey here, so l'chaim, everybody.
Oh dear.
About 15 years ago, I was on the train coming back to Edinburgh, and I was listening to a CD of my friend Eamon Coyne, who's a great Irish banjo player. And I was starting to think, what would happen if a Jewish klezmer band, not from Scotland, arrived in Scotland and were asked to play a jig and reel set without ever really having heard a jig and reel set, just maybe the bare bones of an idea of what a jig and reel was supposed to be like. So I thought I would write what I thought that was, and that's what I'm going to play now. So it's a kind of Jewish, Scottish, Irish jig and reel set, and then I'm going to put on the end of it a tune which is again in the Kostakovsky's klezmer collection, and it's called a bagel. I don't know what that means for a tune, whether that means it's a dance, whether that means it's very tasty, whether that means it's, you know, there's a lot around the edge but not so much in the middle. But I'm going to append that on the end of this. So this is the McGoldberg's jig and reel followed by a bagel.
I'm watching the.
Thank you very much. It's nice. I've got Fiona in the top corner, and I like it when you go off and dance in the kitchen or the other room. That makes me happy. I'm going to play a tune which has nothing to do with klezmer whatsoever now. This is an Oscar Peterson tune called Hymn to Freedom. I'm not really making any chronological or geographical analogies here. It's just it's a cracking tune, and I hope you enjoy it. So this is Hymn to Freedom by Oscar Peterson. Thank you. I'm going to finish up with a set of 3 tunes. The first, 2 of them are from Moshe Beregovsky's collection, which Michael Alpert was instrumental in bringing to the wider world's attention, along with Mark Slobin and other important musicologists. The first is a dobra noc. I know a dobra noc is supposed to end the evening, but I figure that lockdown time is quite kind of relative anyway. So it's a dobra noc followed by a kind of lively share, and then I'm going to finish off with the Bulgar. Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this and for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of the music, and thanks to Fiona for organising it all. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Lovely.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Phil. That was absolutely wonderful. You nearly lost me in a freak lockdown klezmer dancing laptop leads accident there, but anyway, it didn't happen, so that was good. That was absolutely brilliant. Phil, thank you so much. I'm exhausted and looking forward to listening to the next act, which is a return to the legendary Michael Alpert. Please, everybody, mute yourselves. Except Michael.
I am unmuted as far as I know.
You are. And you will be spotlighted as well when we find you.
Oh, good. I've dreamt all my life about this.
That's you in the spotlight.
Hi, everyone. Once again, that was amazing. What everyone's done has been so beautiful, and it's a huge pleasure to be here doing this with, this is not one of those things that like people say from the stage, oh, it's a great pleasure to be here. It's really wonderful to be here doing this with my friends and colleagues from Scotland here in musical endeavors, including but not only my musical partner here in Scotland, Gica Loening, and my person I occasionally share the stage with, Phi Alexander, and of course Lev, who it's really great to see since I've hardly seen you since we were on tour together in back in 2014. So somehow Jennifer Kinsley has come up on my screen here, and Fiona, and I've lost actually any.
If you press speaker view, it'll be you again.
Okay. I mean, I don't have to hear myself. I can hear myself, but the yeah, that's better. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. So apropos of what Gica was talking about is apropos stealing. I'm reminded of a great expression from one of my old-time klezmer buddies, and when I say old-time klezmer, he was born in 1922 in Warsaw and played with his uncle's band, Ben Basler, Berl Basiler, Abisholem, who used to say in his wonderful Polish Yiddish, says, "A penuse kann man sich nicht auslernen, a penuse darf man sich anwenden," which means that you can't learn a trade or an occupation or a profession, you have to steal it. So, and Gica, that piece was called, it's called by us, L'chuna Ranano, which is actually refers to part of the Shabbos liturgy. It does serve as a Bulgar, but yeah, anyhow, was noch? Okay, so continuing here, this afternoon was the first birthday Hora of Emily and my nephew Jack Feiner down in London. And so we had a little family party, and this is a song that's one of the family favorites here, but I realized it was completely appropriate to the occasion of LaG. It's a song whose title in Yiddish is Regenbogen, although it's mostly in English, as you'll hear, which means rainbow, and it was a song that had a very meaningful and moving origin, which is that it was written by Michael Fox, aka Menachem Fuchs, for the 2001 production of the ostensibly kids theater piece, Kids in Yiddish, in New York, which took, I think, opened in October, late October or early November of 2001, and it was really the first performance of Kids in Yiddish after September 11th of that year, for which those of us in New York, this song was especially meaningful and really touching. Touching doesn't even begin to describe it back then. So this is Regenbogen by Michael Fox, Menachem Fuchs, and again, most of it's in Yiddish. Most of it's in English, but there's keywords in Yiddish, and you'll probably get all those. I see a rainbow, a Regenbogen. It's filled with all the colors anybody knows. A Regenbogen, it stands for Sholem, with colors of yellow, green, and red, and blue, and rose. I see a rainbow, a Regenbogen, where it begins and ends nobody ever knows. A Regenbogen, it stands for Freiheit, mit Farben gelb und grün und blau und red und rose. I will gather the Farben colors from each bloom that the golden azure unfurled, for each thing that grows or stands or flows makes a Regenbogen for our precious world. I see the mountains, the mighty oceans, the grüne Berg, the blaue Jammen rise and swell. I see my family, my friends around me, with faces braun und weiß und schwarz und red und gelb. I see my family, my friends around me, with faces brown and white and black and red and yellow. I see a rainbow, a Regenbogen. It stirs in me the strongest feelings that I know felt. A Regenbogen, it stands for Sholem, and in my heart ich will wie schön kann sein die Welt. A Regenbogen, it stands for Sholem, and in my heart ich will wie schön kann sein die Welt.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So I'm going to sing a couple songs now that are unaccompanied in the best tradition of old-time, both Yiddish and Scottish songs. And that's one of the things I do is sing Yiddish and Scottish and other unaccompanied songs, American songs from out of a variety of traditions. This is a song Papyrus of Ice, which some of you may know as Papyrus doch Weiß. This is a much longer version than that shouldn't put you off, it's not that long. But the than the one that's more common in the Yiddish song repertoire. It's a song that I know from my friend and in terms of Yiddish singing, kind of mentor and surrogate aunt, Bronya Sakina, who came from the Soviet Union, part of the Soviet Jewish emigration to the U.S. She was born in Galavanysk, or Olvanisk in Yiddish, a shtetl in southwestern Ukraine in 1910. She only came to the U.S. in 1980 and lived in Brooklyn for the rest of her life. She died in 1988. And I learned many, many songs from her. She was a wonderful Yiddish folksmensch, just a treasure, master traditional singer, dancer, cook, and treasure chest of old-time Yiddishkeit. So this is Papyrus of Ice. As paper is white and ink is black. My heart goes out to you, my love. I would go without sleep 3 days upon end just in order to hold your hand and to kiss your dear face. And it goes on in that vein. Just listen to the Yiddish, you'll get it. Oy Papyrus of Ice, en is schwarz. Sie dir man teuer Leben, sie brennt in mir mein Herz. Ich wollt nicht geschlafen, dran der Reihen und a kischt in dan scheine Peineml, in die holten Badein und ich wollt nicht geschlafen, dran der Reihen und a kischt in dan scheine Peineml, in die holten Badein und oi bei Nächten bin ich auf a Chussen mul gewein. In a viele scheine Meidalach hab ich dorten gesehen. Viele scheine Meidalach, sie man Rivken kimmt nicht gut. Mit ihre schwarzen Kegelach, mit ihr scheinem Rasgavor. Oi dein Talie, dein Figure, dein schönedler Fason. In meinem Herzen brennt a Feuer, keiner seht nicht ohne dem Flamm. In meinem Herzen brennt a Feuer, keiner seht nicht dem Reuch. Oi 3 Uhr, sie warten auf dir, hab schon nicht kein Koyach. Oi einer beit auf Mosel, in der zweiter beit auf Geld, in der dritter beit auf Kleider, in der vierter auf a Gitterwelt. Nur ich beit auf a Schibale, auf dem Gruß dem Grünen, als ich mit meine teuer Leben sollen wohnen in der Ihnen. Und ich beit auf a Schibale, auf dem Gruß dem Grünen, als ich mit meine teuer Leben sollen wohnen in der Ihnen. O ja den smult, in a den smult, wollt ich gewiss für ein Welt. Ich wollt nicht geschlafen. Ich wollt schon geackert und gesehen durchs Feld. Mit viel Vergnügen wollt ich die Zeit verbracht. Sie sitzen und sie schmissen mit mein Geliebter auf der Nacht. Oh, gotten you, die warf mich nicht darauf. In die glach mir nicht sie kein Bäume, sie kein Salub. You know, these long songs, sometimes one forgets a little bit. Sie kein Bäume, sie kein Salub. Das beim alle von dem Zweigale sitze belitzer sehr schön. Wie glücklich wollt ihr sich geschätzt, zu der Chippe mit dir gehen. Das beim alle von dem Zweigale sitze belitzer sehr schön. Wie glücklich wollt sich geschätzt, zu der Chippe mit der gehen. Oje Schifale, Schifale, die Schief sich nur glach. In die Schief mach a Rieber, auf jener Seitag. In der nur dem sollst du unäuben, sie laufen, wenn sie schwimmen. Oi der Leben sollen sich alle zum Gott a heilig in der ihnen. In der nur dem sollst du unäuben, sie laufen, wenn sie schwimmen. Nie der Leben soll der Mensch, was Gott a heilig in der ihnen. Also, Papyrus of Ice.
Thank you.
Yes, and I actually.
Thank you. Tell me if you have.
Ashenim Dankai, thank you very much. I actually meant to mention before that it's amazing to be together also with people from so many different countries and all over the world, including one of my culture heroes, Herschel Hartmann, who was possibly one of the few people here who might have understood all the words to that. Herschel Hartmann, who's tuned in from Los Angeles, California, and who celebrated a major milestone birthday a few months ago. So we wish him gesund, Leben und alle gute Sachen. And noch längere Jahre, Mils Hashem. In that spirit of unaccompanied song, I want to sing a Scottish song for you now. It's a song that was actually written right around here in East Nuka Fife, where we live, or it was written by Matt Armour, who some of you may know from his activity in the folk and traditional music scene in Britain here. And not only does it mention towns and villages right around where we live here. We're in Crail in the East Nuka Fife, but actually it mentions individual farms that are just up the road from us and places we know and go walking all the time. So here's my rendition of the song. I know it originally from the singing of Scott Gardner, who's a wonderful younger traditional singer. I think he lives in and is from Angus, but he's one of the greats of Scottish traditional song today. It's called Generations of Change, and it's very appropriate to the fact that, as Gica was talking about, we have all learned from those who came before us in various ways, and we carry on, hopefully, what they do, and simultaneously as well as consecutively. My father was a, sorry, here we go. My father was a bailey frae a wee farm at Capely. He rocked on the ground all the days of his life. By the time he'd made second, I swore he reckoned he'd ploughed near on half of the East Nuke 5. He feed on at Randerston, Crawhill and Cleffington, Cambo and Carnby and Kilrenny Mill. At Kingsbarns he married, at Boar Hills was buried. But man, had he lived, he'd be ploughing on still. For those days were his days, and those ways were his ways, to follow the plough while his back was still strong. But those days have passed, and the time's come at last, for the wisdom o' age to mak' a way for the young. I wasn't for ploughing, to the sea I was going, to follow the fish and the fishermen's ways. Rain, hail and sunshine, I watched the long run line, nae man mair contented his hale working day. I've lang lined the flooding grund, the Dutch and the Dogger bank, pulled the big fish frae the deep devil's hole. I've side-trawled off Shetland, the Faroes and Iceland, in weather much worse than a body could thole. For that day was my day, and that way was my way, to follow the fish while my back was still strong. But those days have passed, and the time come at last, for the wisdom o' age to mak' a way for the young. My sons they have grown, and away they have flown, to search for black oil in the far northern sea. Like oilmen they walk, and like Yankees they talk, and there's no much in common tween my sons and me. They've rough-necked on Josephine, Forties and Ninian, Claymore and Dunlin and Fisher and Ock. They've made fortunes for sure, for in one run ashore they spend more than I earned in a hale season's work. And these days are their days, and these days are their ways, to ride the rough rigs while their backs are still strong. But these days will pass, and the time come at last, for the wisdom of age to mak' a way for the young. My grandchildren are growing to the sea My grandchildren are going to the school they'll be going, but the lang weeks of summer they spend here with me. We walk through the warm days and talk of the old ways, the cornfield, the codfish, the land and the sea. We walk through the fields that my father once tilled, talk with the old men who once sailed with me. Man, it's been awfully good, I've taught them all I could, of the past and the present, what the future might be. For the morn will be their day, but what will be their ways? What will they make of their land, sea and sky? Man, I seen off a change, and it still seems gey strange to look at the world through a young laddie's eyes. Man, I seen off a change, but it still seems gey strange to look at the world through a young lassie's eyes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I guess that's it. There's one more Yiddish song, but I've taken up my time now. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Michael. So we're going to bring all the musicians back for a final bow at the end. So we won't. That's not the last time that we see Michael. Thank you so much. That was absolutely fabulous. Last time I heard that song was in a pub in Lancashire when we used to be able to all sit together, and I just cried the entire way through it. It's just beautiful hearing it sung in the East Nuke Fife. It was lovely. Thank you.
Kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Wow. Okay. So
Thanks.
So the next person, the penultimate musician, is Lev, who I want to check has got your original sound on. I'm going to unmute you, and we're going to spotlight you.
Right, can you hear me well?
Yes, and we
Yes.
can hear you. So thank you so much, Lev.
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay, folks, that was wonderful listening, very touching. Thank you, Michael, and beautiful playing from everyone. I will play a short set of music, of klezmer showcase music from the south of Russia, which I learned in my early years. This is very interesting music. Probably it's got most influences in it. There is a Romanian, Hungarian, Russian, Jewish, and in the case of my city, Rostov-on-Don, it's Armenian music, and it's all a klezmer tradition now. Also, when I played it, we didn't call it klezmer. The world and the word klezmer was not sounding. Nevertheless, this music is wonderful, and I'm going to play. First of all, I'm going to play a couple of Horas, and their names speak for themselves. First one is called Crying Hora, and the second one is a Whistle Hora.
Fantastic.
Oh, the wistful Hora.
Fantastic.
Okay. I forgot to say about one more influence, which is really, really important in klezmer music of South Russia. It's a gypsy music, Russian gypsy music. I'm going to play a modern gypsy piece. Well, it's actually not traditional piece. It's written by a very good friend of mine, wonderful composer and violinist Oleg Ponomarev. And it's called Smelka. Smelka is just a name. Too much. I'm going to finish with just a combination of relaxes. In a wedding, there's a very important moment when the bride and groom comes in the middle. They come in the middle and they dance together. And this is a very important moment because when they dance, all the people around them give them money. And then all the money goes to musicians. So it's very, very essential to keep them dancing as long as possible. And we used to do it by changing relaxes and just playing new ones. I'm going to play this little set of, I think, probably maybe 3 or 4 relaxes together.
Woo!
Very much, everyone. Thank you.
That was Thank you so much for that, Lev. That was absolutely wonderful. Brilliant dancing. So we'll call you back for a bow at the end. So our final musician is the one that's travelled the furthest today. She's travelled all the way from her downstairs room to up to her upstairs bedroom and then down to her office to find the best computer in the house in South Hadley, Massachusetts. And we're going to bring you back to the wonderful, brilliant, fabulous Adrienne Greenbaum. Unmute audio and spotlight video. And here we go for our last performer.
Hi again, everybody. Thank you for staying. It's one of those things, as they say in shul, where else have you got to go? But anyway, I'm so glad you're all here, and I'm thrilled to also be part of this. And I'm going to end with a set of lots of tunes. First, I'm going to give you a little inside picture of the klezmer flute, because I can't tell you how many people, including myself, thought that I was making it up. Klezmer flute, well, that's not traditional, but yeah, go ahead and play. I walked into my first klez camp apologizing to Henry Sapoznik, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm new and I play the flute. He said, well, I guess I'm sorry, I don't understand why you're apologizing. I said, well, I've never heard anybody play klezmer flute. And he said, yes, but historically it goes back very far. I'll show you some photos, and of course there are many bands, especially in Poland, that you will see 1, 2, sometimes 3 flutes lined up, although Henry later said, oh, Adrienne, not 3 in a band. No, that was for the photo opportunity. No. Anyway, we can hear on recordings there are more than 1 flute sometimes. So what I'm going to start with is the traditional kind of flute that the klezmer did play. And this is a 19th century flute. It was designed way before the flute that we play now. And it's called the simple system flute, one of many names. It's not simple for us. Who don't know the fingerings when we first start, because they're totally different from the modern flute. As you can see, this one has an ivory head on it, and it's not so special. The specialness is that it can play. It still plays, and quite frankly, I had very little work done on this instrument. This one hails from Hungary, made by a maker who is from Hungary and lived there, so it wasn't imported. And it has a beautiful sound, and you could say, oh, but that's because it is made of ivory. But when you really think of it and look inside, there's a metal sleeve, which actually didn't protect it from the weather. It made it crack a lot sooner. So many of us don't really know why they did this. It looks nicer. But anyway, I'm going to do this first set, which is an historical cover of Shloimeh Kosh, who was one of the few named flutist that we have. He recorded this set in 1911, and if any of you wondered prior to meeting me, oh, it must have a bad sound because they couldn't play. These flutists were extraordinary. So they were well trained, highly trained, and you can tell by their technique that it was fine classical training as well. So this is a brief set, really, of a doina. I will be improvising on the rendition of Shloimeh Kosh, and then I go into with my partner here that I recorded all my piano tracks with a Hora portion and then a Frelix portion. Thank you. Thank you.
Bravo!
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Wonderful.
So the next song, tune, piece is so beautiful, and it's actually in our tradition of being klezmorim, and I've known it for a long time. The Polonaise, one of the many, but the most favored one of Oginski. And in English, it's Farewell to the Homeland. And much to my delight, it was included in this klezmer band's folio from Dubiecko, Poland. And there it was in very old manuscript and written out in the right form and everything. So it is true that polonaises were performed at weddings and for other occasions. It was a very moving and popular thing to do. And this particular polonaise could be this kind of gesture. It can be military. And you can go on YouTube and hear many different versions of it in terms of the beauty and the tempo. And I'm going to play the tempo that I enjoyed recording on my little partner here. And then I'm going to end that song with a little bit of a Hasidic tune that was unnamed in this same Frand folio. Didn't have a title on it, but it goes very well as a nice ending to this. And so far, people have said to me, "Oh, I know that." I haven't heard yet exactly, there's so many iterations of our tunes. We have, this could have been from a Hasidic sect, could have been in other klezmer folios, but that's where it will drift off to. Thank you.
Fabulous.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Now we go to a little bit of a wedding here. This is a tune that I wrote. I can't even speak it usually, and I'm having trouble. My wonderful daughter, we were deciding what she would walk down to. She got married last summer, and we were deciding all the tunes that everybody would walk down to, and she said, "Mommy, would you like to write a tune for me?" Oh, yes. And it's a good thing, she said, but you can't play it, Mom. You've got to walk down with me. And I argued a little bit, but I'm glad that she decided that, because I was sobbing while we were walking down, and I don't think I could have played it anyway. And then we're going on to a little bit of Bergovsky, a Gosnigan that I recorded way back in 2003. And I fell in love with it. There's plenty of material in Bergovsky from which to choose, but I chose this one, and it's just a very pleasant vibe to it, the feel. So please, get up and stretch and prance around. And then I'm going into two Freilichs, and you can consider that the end of my wedding as well. I'll begin with a Vorspiel, or a little Doina, before she starts to walk. Thank you.
Musician.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Well done, Caroline. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's it from me.
That was just great.
Thanks, Lev.
Sorry, I've just been talking into my nothingness there. I'd like to get everybody. Thank you so much, Adrienne. That was absolutely fabulously wonderful.
Wonderful.
Such a beautiful.
Fantastic playing, Adrienne.
Such a
Very
beautiful
style.
thing to
Very
finish
style.
with. So I would like to have a big hand for Adrienne first. Then we'll do it in this order. Phil, Michael, Lev, and Gica. So Phil, can we spotlight Phil? Stand up and take a bow. Give it a moment while we find you and then spotlight you. There we go. More and spotlight. Stand up and take a bow. Woohoo! Phil and Michael, where are you? Take a bow.
Here, sitting on the bowing from sitting position. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Fiona, for doing all this, and Skojek for supporting it, and all of you for being here.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Adrienne and Lev. Spotlight on Lev. Thank you so much. Absolutely fabulous.
Amazing man with the amazing repertoire.
And back to Adrienne again, because Gica is trying to desperately to get in on a telephone. She's been bounced out and she can't get back in. So she's watching this on YouTube at the moment. She sends her best love. She's had a fabulous night. So a great big hand for Adrienne and for everybody.
Hey, Gica!
Woo!
Hey, thank you, Adrienne.
I've always wanted to come back to Scotland, so here I am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just to remind you all that we've been the money today, the proceeds from tonight have Skojek has been collecting for the music. Oh, Gica has just arrived on the telephone, so we can hear her voice. That's wonderful. As soon as she gets here. So
great. Can you explain? I had one friend ask how it collected
okay,
U.S. dollars.
Yeah, I'm just going to unmute Gica. Okay, Gica, say hello.
Hi everybody. Sorry, it's just this absolutely crap internet in Scotland, Portobello. So thank you so much, and thank you, Adrienne. That was fantastic. I did switch to YouTube, and actually the sound was absolutely brilliant on YouTube. So I still heard it all. It was really, really great. And it was just fantastic, everybody. And huge thanks to Fiona for organising this really lovely evening. So, and thank you so many friends and lovely people who you all came and joined us. It was it felt great and lovely seeing you all from a distance. That was fantastic. So I hope I switched to YouTube, and actually the sound was absolutely brilliant on YouTube. So
it's coming through on YouTube.
I heard it all. It was really, really great.
I have to mute her because right, that's okay. I've got rid of that. Okay. So I just wanted to say we've been collecting for the musicians and for the Scottish health charities, and everybody is going to be. Jean is about to post the funding link again. We're going to be recording this again. We're going to be recording. The recording is going to be on our website, and that's.
How do we donate? How do we donate?
How do we donate? We can send you PayPal or IBAN details to donate from America.
Well, it's in American dollars. My friend said it only asked for pounds.
Okay, the Skojek donation link that we've just posted will take credit cards. We'll take pounds.
Okay. Well,
we'll take dollars, I mean.
Adrienne, as they say, your money is no good here. Our money is no good here.
Your money's fantastic here. We're very happy with dollars. Oh. Yeah. So basically, that is the end of LaG Omer, because this is a time concert. That is the end of Skojek's lockdown LaG Omer Rainbow Klezmer Kabaret with 2 Ks.